Welcome to the Pastor's Connection podcast, where we delve into the heart of ministry and explore the challenges and triumphs of pastoral life. Join us as we connect with inspiring leaders, share insightful stories, and equip one another with tools for effective ministry. Together we can foster a community of support, encouragement, and growth in our calling. Today's episode is brought to you by BroTech Design. BroTech Design is your go-to destination for exceptional web design and reliable hosting solutions. They create stunning websites that captivate your audience and ensure seamless performance, helping your church or business thrive online. Elevate your digital presence with their tailored services at BroTech Design. You can contact them today at info@brotech.design for assistance and to transform your online experience. We are excited to have with us on today's episode Dustin Alley. Dustin, welcome to the podcast this morning.
Hey, Thomas, thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to the conversation.
So Dustin is a pastor, and he's also founder of Men After God. We're going to hear more about that ministry in just a couple of minutes here as we talk about developing a thriving men's ministry. But I know that some of our listeners don't know Dustin, and so I want to kind of help them connect with you a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple of minutes and introducing your family to us.
Yeah, sure, Thomas. Yeah, so let's see. My wife, Sarah, and I met junior year of high school. Got married the December after we graduated. We've been together, married 18 years now, together for 20. We've got 3 kids. My oldest is 13. My middle son is 10, and my daughter is 8. I had to think about that for a minute. Currently living in Bristol, Connecticut, and just looking to see where God's got us serving next, and excited for that journey, man.
So you talk a little bit about Bristol and looking for whatever is next. What is kind of your church experience and background?
Yeah, sure. So I've got an interesting story from different than most pastors I interact with. And it may just be the circles that I've ran in, but I did not go to Bible college in the traditional sense. I graduated high school. I spent 9 years in the Marine Corps as an air traffic controller.
Awesome.
And during that time, God used the second half of my career to really get my attention, if you will. Called me to ministry in 2013. I surrendered and came on staff at a church as an assistant pastor, youth pastor in 2015. Finished up my master's in the next couple years and spent 3.5 years there as a youth pastor. Loved it. It was phenomenal. I've got an opportunity right now to serve as an interim youth pastor for a church. They just need some help until their next guy gets there. And I was actually there last night. Tons of fun. Love just playing football with the kids. Being a youth pastor is great. You get all the joys of ministry, but if something messes up, you could say, nope, go talk to the other guy. That guy's in charge. I just break stuff. But no, seriously, though, it was a great time. And so then I moved up here in 2019 as a lead pastor of Liberty Baptist in Bristol. And then September of 2024, I resigned the pastorate and looking for what God's got next for us. We got Men After God up and running to a fully functional business. And we're just taking a bootstrap approach, taking it slow. We got our nonprofit side that's going, impacting international men's work. And right now I am got a survey trip planned with a church in a couple weeks and looking to see what God's going to do there to potentially move us to what I'm affectionately calling the promised land. And Thomas,
Yes.
You may agree with that. And so
Yeah, come on down to the Sunshine State, see what God has for you. You know, it's always interesting going from being the lead pastor to back into youth ministry. I was a youth pastor for a long time, and then while we were in Iowa, I was leading the church and doing youth ministry. Oh, wow. And I tell you what, it takes a lot of energy to be a youth pastor, and I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. How's that going for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last night was night 1. It was an observation night. So
okay.
Next week I go back. I'm going to teach, and we kind of finalized what an interim role looks like. He really just needs me to run the Wednesday night program. He's even going to be there. He just needs someone that's handling the administrative and the teaching responsibilities. And so, it'll be fun. But he's already told me stories, man. They got a pretty rough group. He's had to expel a kid he punched another kid in the face. I mean,
oh, geez.
My experience in youth ministry, conservative Christian homes, a lot of homeschool kids. Interestingly enough, the kid that punched the other kid in the face was a homeschool kid, so it's like a different breed of homeschool kids. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess it is. And but no, it was an interesting time last night, and I'm looking forward to just getting involved going forward.
You mentioned something, and this might be helpful to some of our listeners out there who are trying to define different roles in that. How thorough were the expectations in working out the process of what that interim looks like?
They're not. And unfortunately, that's how it is with most churches. So, it was very rudimentary. And I got it from a guy who knew me, knew my skill set, and said, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you." He connected me with the worship pastor, who connected me with the executive pastor that's running it. And we sat down last night and just kind of had a handshake deal of exactly what would be worked out. It's not what I recommend when you're bringing someone in to work like that. But again, the conversation started with interim youth pastor, and it sounds like I'm a paid youth leader is more of what they're looking for, which, hey, is fine for me because, again, I get to go in, I get to interact with the kids and minister to them, I get to teach, and I don't have, and if a parent gets upset, they get to go talk to the other guy. So it's really the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I miss those days when I could say, "Hey, pastor, you handle this," and now I'm the one everybody's coming to.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've been in circumstances where the roles and expectations weren't clearly defined. What are some tips that you can give maybe to some lead pastors or some churches out there who are looking for a pastor for whatever role it might be to help more clearly define what those expectations might be?
Lack of clarity breeds confusion.
Yeah.
If a person doesn't understand exactly what's expected of them, they'll never accomplish it. And you'll continually be frustrated because they're not doing what you're looking for. So if it's not in clear writing and you've talked to them about it and just really laid it out, you can't expect them to do that. One of the rules I had for myself as the lead pastor was if I was getting upset with a staff member and their performance of something, I'd have to stop and go, wait. Have I told them I expect this of them? And I'll tell you, especially as a young pastor, there were multiple times I came back, I didn't actually tell them. I just expected it to be done, but I didn't tell them it needed to be done. Because we get into this idea of, well, that's how I would have done it. Or, if I was doing this, I would have already got this done. It would have been accomplished. I would have organized my tasks this way. I would have made this the priority. Well, other people think differently. And if you don't tell them it's a priority, it won't be. And so we've got to check ourselves. But getting things clear in writing, and then checkups often. I love the book, The 1 Minute Manager. I actually want to reread it or listen to it. I know me and you've talked audiobooks. They're real books, man. I count them. And so, but I got to listen to that. I love that book. It just talks about having just short conversations to establish what's expected and then to check in. So you're not waiting for like annual reviews and stuff. You're just connecting throughout the month, throughout the week, short 1 minute conversations. And then you can tell them, this is a great thing, man. Get everybody on the same page. Get the 1 Minute Manager book, have your entire team read it, and just tell them, hey, we need a 1 minute manager conversation. You ready? All right, boom, 60 seconds, and you just start rolling. And you create that culture of feedback for them. You get it for yourself. I think that's the best way to ensure that you're not getting upset or trying to expect your staff members to do something that you haven't told them to. Is, again, just check yourself, put it in clear writing, and have those conversations with them.
Yeah, and so for pastors and ministry leaders who are out there and who are listening, today we are focusing in on men's ministry. We're going to be talking about men after God, but Dustin would be a huge resource and a help to you and your church as far as organization and setting up expectations and leadership and all that stuff. As we get to the end of the episode, he's going to share with us how you can get a hold of him in case you have any questions or thoughts or you want to have him come in and be a help to your church or ministry. So that was just kind of free, something that popped up in the conversation, but let's turn our attention towards talking about developing a thriving men's ministry. And I was excited when we had this conversation. You were thinking about starting Men After God. My own experience with men's ministry is it's often a difficult thing to get up and running and make it thrive. So let's talk a little bit about Men After God and what inspired you to start it, and then how has your personal journey shaped your understanding of men's ministry?
Yeah, so what inspired me to start Men After God was my own failure. 6 months in 2022, I overextended myself and got to a place to where I was done. I almost passed out of my house, went to the doctor. I was just exhausted. I was dehydrated. I wasn't taking care of myself, and ultimately wasn't taking care of my family or my ministry, and it was really at a low point. God utilized a spiritual mentor of mine and a friend, and through in prayer, just kind of helped me see that I was doing a lot for him, but I wasn't doing much with him. I wasn't following that John 15 principle, just abiding in the Lord. I was doing a lot of stuff, going to guys, I'm doing it all for you. You've called me to do this. And if I went through my list, I've got about 6 or 7 things I was doing over that 6-month time period that if you hear just one of them, it's like, oh, well, that's great. But when you combine all 7, 6, 7, it was way too much. So I identified 5 areas of my life that I need to do with God. And I believe if I have these 5 areas locked in a week, I'm not going to find myself burnt out, and I'm going to find myself actually accomplishing something with the Lord, not just for the Lord. And those 5 areas come from living out my identity in Jesus, which means I've got to be accepting and comfortable with who God's made me to be and who He's not made me to be. I have to be able to listen to other pastors who can speak better than I can and say, wow, they're amazing. I'm not that gifted. I have to know other leaders that are better than me and be able to say, wow, I don't have to try to be them. I have to be who God made me to be. Those 5 areas, Thomas, because of the Baptist background, I had to alliterate them because Paul did that somewhere, I'm sure. But,
every good Baptist alliterates.
That's right. So we start off with the first one is we have to deepen our relationship with Jesus. So in your 7-day week, you've got to ensure you have time set aside to deepen your relationship with Jesus. The second thing is devote time to your family.
Can I jump in real quick?
Oh, you mean the guy who runs the family podcast wants to jump in on the family comment? Go for it. Yeah.
Actually, I want to jump in before you get to the family.
Oh, okay.
You talk about ensuring that time to deepen your relationship with God. Is there a certain time of the day that works best for you? Like, how do you ensure that you make sure that that's a priority for you?
So for it to be a priority for me, I've got to put it on the calendar, which means for me, that's mornings. If I don't get it done in the morning, it's probably not going to happen. However, I know men who are more mentally attuned between like 9 and 3. In fact, you and I have a mutual friend who works best between like 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. That is just his bread and butter, and he does great work then. He can
just
study,
crazy to me.
Go to God. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. I mean, with as many Red Bulls as you drink, I figured you could do it. But no, I'm serious. Like, it's not happening. But the important thing is not so much for every man to try to model after another man for time of day. It's just to ensure that there is a time in the day. And then what it looks like, Thomas, I'm afraid we get taught a format in Bible college that we begin to try to copy and paste into everyone's life. Devotions have to look like this. You've got to spend X time in prayer, X time reading, X time taking notes, X time whatever it might be. And that's a devotional. When in reality, I'm afraid that we're diminishing our relationship with God to academic exercises and not actually relationship building moments.
Yes.
There are times in my relationship with my wife where we don't need to talk. I just need to hold her because I've had a stressful day, or maybe she has, and we just need to sit there and just be with one another for a moment. There's times where we need to talk. We need to share with one another. We need to make requests of one another. We need compliments. We need to really invest in that way. There's times when we need to go out and do something together, play putt-putt or work around the house and invest in our relationship that way. I bring all that up because I think our relationship with God is the same. I'm afraid if we believe we have to read our Bibles every single day, and if we don't read X amount of chapters every single day, then we're dirty, rotten sinners. And when the reality is there may be a season of life where you get up in the morning and reading content from Scripture that you've read before is not what you need, but you need to be reminded of the goodness of God through worship. And you just need to pour your heart out in worship. Turn some music on and sing. There may be days where reading more isn't necessarily going to build you up as much as spending 30 minutes in prayer. I never tell people don't read your Bible every day. But I do tell people if you're going through it, if life's hitting you hard and performing what could become an academic exercise or check in the box isn't deepening your relationship with Jesus, then don't do the check in the box. Do what's going to deepen your relationship with Jesus in that season of life in that day. And I don't think we're less of Christians for it.
That's great. And I have this conversation with people about prayer as well, because, I grew up very conservative background similar to yours, and it was like they were always talking about making sure you pray an hour, or you do this or that, certain time period. And I was like, that's not the way I communicate with anybody.
No.
Like I'm a person who says very few words typically. My wife is the exact opposite, where she says a lot of words, and so her prayers have a lot more words in them than mine do. My prayers are typically brief and straight to the point, but that's who I am. That's how I communicate, and so that's the way I communicate with God as well.
And I think that's what makes it so important, is communicate with God how you communicate with God. My book, Becoming a Man After God, is starts out, the first few chapters are about determining who God has made you to be, and understanding how your history can become part of his story, how your heart matters and what it is set on. Because you and I have very same focus of serving Jesus, but what that looks like is completely different, and that's
Totally.
okay. And how we worship could be different, and that's okay. And how we spend our time with Jesus can look different, and that's okay. When we began to send people off into Bible colleges and seminaries that almost create copy and paste replicas of the professors and pastors and things of that nature, there's part of that where it's like we need to grab the great things from them that are communicable, just like we have the communicable traits of God, but we need to make them our own. I'll give you a funny story. I'm not very fashionable. I'm truly not. Like, give me
really?
jeans and a t-shirt. Short, actually, even better. I want swim trunks, a tank top or a t-shirt, and a pair of flip-flops. And I'm very, very happy. Right?
You're made for Florida life, dude.
I believe it. And so when I go places, when I want to dress well, I do like to appear as though I know how to match colors. And I usually have to use ChatGPT to help me, but another story for another day. But recently I did. I texted a friend of mine. I said, hey, man, I respect your game and love your, I think what the kids call drip nowadays.
Yes.
But no, his clothes are always on point, man. This guy's matching like head to toe, and the accents are always phenomenal. And I tell him, I'm like, man, you're my new GQ. Like, I look to you for fashion advice. And this time I actually did. I texted him, I asked him about an outfit, and he said, yeah, man, you can grab these shoes. Look at this. And I looked at the shoes. I'm like, man, I like those shoes. He's not wrong, but those aren't me. So instead of getting those for this business casual type outfit, I ended up buying a pair of Hey Dudes that were cognac color.
No.
I'm actually wearing them this week.
I'm not a fan of Hey Dudes.
Well, it's been a good conversation, Thomas. I'll talk to you later.
I told my girls, I was like, if you ever see me in Hey Dudes, just put me out of my misery.
They just came out with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hey Dudes. Like, come on. Like, I think I'm going to become a collector. I'm just going to buy you a pair so you can have a pair. That's it. But I got those, and I'm going to wear those instead of these really nice dress shoes that he picked out. Why? Because the dress shoes were him. And they look great on him. They're part of his personality, but they weren't me. We wouldn't copy and paste someone else's fashion styles and different stuff on us. Then why do we try to copy and paste our relationship with Jesus? Something that's so much more important. It's got to be an individual relationship. Your marriage doesn't look the same as someone else's, neither should your relationship with Christ.
Right.
So that was deep in your relationship with Jesus. The second thing is devote time to your family. And I'm sure we can go for a long time on that one, but you got to make it a priority. And if you guys haven't listened to Thomas's Family Meeting podcast, you need to. The amount of time he sets aside for his family is just honorable, and I've got to mimic it one day.
Without family, right, we got no ministry, so...
Absolutely. And I had to learn that, not that I've lost my family by any means, praise God, but, that's definitely, there's subtle ways that we put ministry before our family. And I don't know, for me, I learned from the School of Hard Knocks. I had to make the mistakes to learn from the mistakes rather than be able to see them before they happened. And man, I could talk on that for all day, but let's go to the third one. Develop yourself. Now, develop yourself is developing your whole self, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and taking care of yourself because you are a child of God. We can let ourselves go. We can stop going to the gym. We can stop eating right. We can stop investing in ourselves mentally and reading or listening to books. We can fudge on our devotional time, whatever it may look like. We've got to develop ourselves. We were made for growth. We're not made to be just stagnant. So we deepen our relationship with Jesus, devote time to your family, develop yourselves, deliver value to others. Again, it's an alliteration, but it's based off of Jesus' principle that he came to serve, not to be served. Serve people in your gifting. I love to talk. I talked to a young man last night, and he was telling me how he's going to tech school to be a carpenter. And like, man, I thank God for him, because anytime I have attempted some sort of woodworking, it has turned out terrible, and I have no desire for it whatsoever. And he was talking to me. He's like, yeah, I got some friends in auto mechanics too. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic, man. I can change oil. I can rotate tires. I can change brakes. And I've even messed up a brake job before. Story for another day. But it's not my gifting. It's not what I love to do. I love to speak. I love to invest into people. I love to build relationships there and just see them grow into who God made them to be. But this guy would rather sit in the back and never be noticed. And that's how he is. Now, discipleship is something everybody should be engaged in, but how it looks is going to be different for you and I. So deliver value to others. And then my last one, Thomas, I absolutely love that God gave this to me, is do nothing for Jesus.
All right, you got to elaborate on that.
But why? So the Bible says that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And that Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. Therefore, my rest is an act of worship unto my King. And when I deny myself the rest that he says I should have, I'm denying him the worship he's rightfully due. And when I approach my schedule with that thought, with that idea, with that mentality, then the overbooking, the doing too much becomes less of a time management problem and more of a heart problem. Why would I not give my King worship by resting?
Yeah.
And that helped me so much become comfortable with setting aside time in my schedule for relaxation. And I'm still not the best at it. Of all of those, the leaders I speak with, that last one is the one they have the most trouble with, because we've got it so ingrained in us to be grinding and going after something and doing something, that to sit and just rest and when there's stuff to be done is almost a foreign, painful concept. So it's one I still work out daily, weekly, of making sure I set that time aside. But with those 5 areas, man, I think we do it. So that holistic approach to my life led to the book, led to our podcast, because we wanted to get other men's voices out there, and then led to the development of what Men After God is today, to develop content, community, coaching, and conferences to develop men who develop men, so women and children know what it means to be led by God in this generation and the next, based on the holistic living for Jesus. And so we teach a holistic men's ministry development. We do not have a copy and paste system. We do have a library of resources, over 40 different resources that go along with our 12-week coaching program that guys can use. But none of it is meant to be copy and paste. It's meant they can, however, they need to make it their own, because what works for a church of 50 doesn't work for a church of 250, and a church of 1,000 for a church of 500. You know, and so we work with churches of all sizes to help understand. Not only do they themselves have to live from their identity in Jesus, but their ministry has to live from an identity in Jesus for who it's made to be, not who the church down the street is.
Yeah. So obviously you believe in men's ministry. Can you just kind of share your thoughts on why men's ministry is crucial for the overall health of the church community?
Throughout Scripture, men were given the burden and the privilege of leadership. And when that is neglected inside of the ministry, we find well-meaning, good-hearted ladies that'll step up into these roles, and men sit back and relax. And it's not how God intended. There are women that can speak better than I can. There are women that can definitely organize better than I can. And there are ladies that can do a number of different things. But the responsibility and charge of leadership has been placed on men. Inside of the church, when men step up, we see young men have people to look up to. Too often, I'm afraid, we see on worship teams, primarily ladies that are singing. We don't have many men that are there. When you get into ministries, you'll find that the men aren't singing in the pews or the chairs. You'll find that men are not actively involved in something. They send the wife and children to church, but they're not actually growing and doing anything. And I'm afraid that's come from again, I'm going to go back to what I mentioned earlier of the relationship with Jesus being reduced down to academic exercises. We've reduced discipleship down to academic exercises. Now, hey, I'm guilty as charged here as a young pastor. That was my discipleship program. I had the book. That many in my circle used, a 12-week program that went through what we believe, why we believe it, had 5 devotions. And so what do? We sat down, we went over a lesson like we're in school, and then gave them homework to do. Then they came back and talked to us about it. And then we're wondering why nobody's sticking, why no one's staying around. And what we found was that it's not the transfer of information that helps someone stay closer to Jesus. It's the development of a relationship with them. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. It was about how they knew him. And so we want to put men in places to know other men. Their academic information is fantastic. It's not bad. It's good to know the Bible. I'm not diminishing that, but I also don't want to elevate it to more than it should be. When we look at the life of Christ, he lived with the disciples. He walked with the disciples, spent every day with them, talking to them, and just being a part of their lives. That part of ministry can be missed if we aren't careful and we try to reduce men's ministry to, ladies' brunch with bacon and call it a men's breakfast, or we're just doing chili cook-offs and we're never actually spending time with one another. I'm teaching this weekend at an Iron Sharpens Iron conference up in Springfield, Illinois, and in there I'm teaching on developing a men's ministry team. And one of the problems we have in men's ministry is we want something to happen. We don't feel that we can do it. So we go and ask a guy out of desperation rather than for the purpose of motivation. So we'll go to the guy and we'll be like, hey, man, listen, we want a men's ministry and I've just got so much going on. I'm not able to do that, but I think you could do that. And I'd love for you to handle this stuff. And we start coming from this place of like, it's one more thing on our plate rather than going to them and saying, hey, listen, I believe God's charged men to lead in this ministry and I want us to invest into them. And I believe you could be the person who helps us make that happen. Would you come alongside me for a period of time and then take over the men's ministry in 3 months to be able to transform the lives of the men in our church? Guys, it's vision casting 101. Go in to speak life into people, tell them what you see in them, don't lie to them, and then tell them the reason that they need to be involved in men's ministry. I've yet to find a church with a successful men's ministry that's facing many of the problems of dying and the financial issues that other churches that don't have men leading are. I think there's a major ripple effect from having men involved. And what that men's ministry looks like can be different. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for brunch with bacon. But if that's all it is, then that's a waste of time and resources of the church.
Yeah, I read a book called Why Men Hate Going to Church, and the author kind of gave their thoughts on the history of how it all happened with men going to war and all those things. And so, women were left behind. And we're very thankful for women who do step up and lead in the absence of good, strong male leadership. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of great things that women do and are a vital part of church. But he talks about the fact that in most churches, the thermostat is set on female instead of male. You have thoughts on how we as church leaders can kind of adjust that thermostat back to male?
Absolutely. One of the first things you need to look at is your decorations and your styling.
Yeah.
Traditionally, churches are designed by the ladies. Because guys, what do we say? Oh, that's a woman. I'm not good. I'm not good at that. Hey, listen, I'm not telling you got to be able to color coordinate and all this stuff, but you can look at it and say, do I as a dude enjoy walking into this and feel like a man who's following Jesus, or do I feel like a man who accompanied my wife down to a place where she made me go? And so when we start asking some of those real questions, we start bringing men into the conversations of design elements, the scent of your church. And when people walk in, does it smell as though it is a place for women? Now, listen, I'm not saying it needs to smell like a locker room. All right.
Right.
That's not what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But take it. These are small things that you'll start to notice a difference in the way people act in the environment when you start to gear it towards the audience that you're wanting to impact. What's interesting, and this is a hypothesis. This is not, I've not studied this out in research. This is a hypothesis I have. women can feel comfortable. I believe women feel comfortable in a manly environment, decorative wise.
Yeah.
Most men find themselves uncomfortable in a women's oriented designing environment.
Sure.
You got flowers and all these different things over. It's just like, when's the last time you saw a man cave that had paisleys in it? Right?
Yeah.
It's not happening. That's a small thing. The other thing is, pastors, go to these men. Stop talking to their wives about how they need to be come to church. Stop talking to the wives about how you'd love to see them. Get on the phone, go to the house, get in their face and say, hey, I'd love to see you at church. What can we do to get you there? Hey, brother, I'm praying for you. I'm concerned for you and your family. I've noticed that you're not being a part of a local New Testament church. I noticed you're not part of a brotherhood. I'd love to help you be a part of that. Let's stop working through the women to try to manipulate the men, and let's just go to the man and have a conversation and truly man up about it and invite them into it. What do we say about evangelism? Most people don't trust Jesus because nobody ever asked them to. People aren't joining the church because nobody asked them to. Men aren't coming to church, number of reasons, but a lot of times it's because as pastors and ministry leaders, we end up with a volunteer team made up primarily of ladies. And again, thank God for what they're doing. And then that's what we end up working with. Our pastoral staff has a team of ladies that are doing a fantastic job. And because that's happening, we get comfortable and we don't ever go out and actually talk to the men. Guys, we've got to go talk to the men and invite them into it. A great conversation you should have is with, I'm forgetting his last name. Aaron from Fallon, Nevada, Aaron McBride. He's doing a fantastic job in our Men After God program, bringing men in to watch the coaching program so that they can invest into the men of the ministry. He'd be a good person to talk to for that.
Yeah, I remember when I first became lead at our church in Iowa, and our church was literally like going to grandma's house. Oh. Like, it looked like grandma's house, it smelled like grandma's house, and not in a good way, like baked cookies type of way.
Oh, there were mothballs.
Yeah. So it was like, first thing we do is like, okay, let's get rid of these doilies and all these different things. And try to man it up at least a little bit here. Because like you said, women are going to go to church. Like, they're just going to go to church. And so men, it's a little more difficult. We want to break down some of those barriers. Now, we talk about challenges a little bit. What are some common challenges that churches face when trying to establish or grow a men's ministry, and what do you think they can do to overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, most of the churches I talk to that are having trouble establishing or growing a men's ministry are church plants, smaller churches, less than 100, maybe 150, and they're just not able to get something off the ground. And I think that goes back to trying to make it look like something they saw somewhere else, rather than asking, okay, what would be best for our circumstances? If there's a church of less than 100 and you've got 25, 30 guys, maybe 40 guys in there, don't shoot to have 25, 30, 40 guys at an event or anything like that. I might not even start with an event. I'd recommend finding one. Who's one guy you can invest in, and give it 4 to 6 weeks of just investing in that one guy, and start inviting other people into it and asking him to invite people to the conversation. I mean, Thomas, you do a great job. I think Monday nights or every other Monday, first Monday of the month, something like that.
Yep,
you have a leadership
twice
meeting.
A month. Yeah.
There it is. You got a leadership meeting at your house. Now, again, at scale, that's not going to work. That has to adjust. But for churches of smaller sizes, you've got to scale down rather than scale up what you're seeing around you. And so just start building those relationships. Our mutual friend Josh Tice has said that when he planted his church, his goal was to make 100 best friends within like a year or something like that. Guys, go make friends with the men in your church. That will drastically change the interactions at church. It will change the confrontations that you might have to have, and it'll also help with just again, men leading men. Without that, what are they going to do? Who's going to lead them? Most men are too rebellious to have women leading them and just shooting it straight. So let's just lead the men, go to them, have conversations. I mentioned the Bible study, inviting guys out for coffee, having the steak nights, chili cook-offs, different things of that nature. Those are all well and good. It's ultimately, how are you investing into the relationships with the men in your church? Start there, and then let programming come out from it organically, rather than trying to force programming first. So that's if you're trying to start. If there's something there where there's a men's breakfast once a month, the first Saturday or something of that nature, you don't have to stop something as long as it's not like an utter failure. But go in and start teaching and preaching a different way of doing things and how things need to grow. That's one thing I'm afraid of. I fell prey to as a pastor. Sometimes I felt like a politician at times, trying to not be as direct as I needed to be, but still get my point across, and I was beating around the bush, and I don't like doing that in any way. And I felt like, man, I can't say this, I can't say that. Pastors, yes, you can. Because you've got to get this idea of like, oh, a pastor speaks this way, or a pastor can only have this type of tone, or this and that and the other. Look, be who God made you to be. If he made you to be a man that's got a gruff voice and looks at men in the face, says, hey, I want you to invite someone to church this weekend, then do it. Make sure the guy can take it. I mean, don't go get some 23-year-old kid that just got saved and, go into him like that. But you got a 45, 30-year-old guy in your church, and he's been going there for a bit. Just straight up ask him, hey, man, can I challenge you? Yeah, great. Who are you going to invite to church next week? Let's start having some real conversations, some real iron sharpens iron. And iron's hard, man. It's not, hey, man, listen, I was really thinking it'd be great for us to have some other people here, and I was wondering if you happen to know someone you could possibly potentially call. Forget that. Look at them in the face and say, hey, let's invite some people. Who you got? And go on.
And most men like direct. Like, just be direct with me, shoot straight with me. What is it you want? What is it you expect?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't sell me something. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah. But I like that idea of scaling down, because one of the things we do is, as you mentioned, we do a men's leadership group, and it meets twice a month, and I just pick a book and we go chapter by chapter, and I send out discussion questions and we talk about it and try to learn and grow just as men. And then once a month we have a men's night out where it's just it's a time for connection. It's a time to invite maybe some friends along in a non-threatening environment to get to know some other guys from church. So kind of having that on-ramp that makes it a little easier for them to step in the building.
That's good.
All right, so talk a little bit about engagement here. How do you think churches can effectively engage men who may be hesitant to participate in ministry activities?
Do activities that they would enjoy engaging in. And I mean, every guy's different. Every culture's different. I just talked to someone I heard a pastor preaching and shared a story how he went to a conference up in Montana, something like that. And it was all hunting themed. If you're in Los Angeles, you're probably not going to do that.
Do a lot of hunting. Yeah.
Yeah. And he walked away. He told a story about a skunk when he was a kid. And before he left that conference, someone handed him a skunk pelt. And,
that's funny. Again,
Montana, that works. Inner city Los Angeles, inner city New York, maybe not, So you got to put on, I hate the word attractional church model, okay?
Yeah.
But, because we say, well, the gospel is attractive. Not to someone who doesn't believe it. No,
right.
It's not. We do need to learn how to create an environment that's welcoming to the people that we want in there. And you see this happen in all other sections of society where it's the DMV principle. I've never walked into a DMV and thought, man, I am really glad I'm here today. You know what I want to do?
No one has.
I want to come back. But I've walked into hotel lobbies where I've thought, dude, I could spend some time here. This is great. I love this. And even Orlando's airport that's got that hotel in there.
Yeah.
It's actually, I don't mind going through security there. They've got, these fountains. There's the hotel rooms up there. I mean, it's a nice little environment. Granted, TSA is not my favorite people, but what I'm getting at is too many of us operate with the DMV mentality and look at our church and say, well, they should just want to come. Yeah, well, people should just love Jesus and do the right thing all the time. That's not working.
They don't.
So we have to, we're not selling the gospel or diminishing the gospel's impact or what it is when we create environments that are welcoming and inviting to the people we want to talk to. You talked about you guys said you did a men's night out, right? If you do a men's night out to a Thai restaurant, I'm probably not going to go. I don't like Thai. I
Yeah.
like spending time with dudes, but I don't like the vegetable base of the Thai food. It's just not my favorite. So I might skip out on that one. So have variety in your
Yep.
schedule and in your programming, if you will, right? Maybe you're in a place that, some guys like Thai food, some guys like Chick-fil-A. It goes back to, you don't, I look at it this way. What are the demographics and psychographics of the men of your church? And how could you set aside time in the year to be able to interact with each one of them as best as you possibly could without overflowing your calendar, right? For instance, we just talk about the food choices. We do a men's night out, and I got a guy that's vegan. First off, God bless him. Don't know how he's doing that. But I got a guy that's vegan. I'm probably not gonna. I'm gonna tell him if I have like, hey guys, we're doing a steak night. Hey Chuck, I know that you're vegan. Listen, we'd love for you to be there. You don't have to be if you don't want to. And then have another night. Hey guys, we are gonna have a vegan night, or we're gonna have whatever, something Korean.
Didn't Paul say
or
the weak
Thai,
eat only vegetables or something like that?
something like that? And that's why I don't eat vegetables at all. Anyways, but then switch it up and have the other thing. Or maybe you got guys that love sports, have a pickup basketball game, and then for the guys that don't like sports, have a Parcheesi tournament. I don't know, but get creative. And stop, again, like we hear that, oh, men's breakfast went really well at the church down the road. We should do it. Or, hey, they had this bunko night and that really great. Well, we should have bunko. No, you should go talk to your men. Have a men's meeting and ask them, hey, what do you want in a men's ministry that would help you transform your life for Jesus while also having a great time with a bunch of dudes?
Yeah.
Listen to their
I'm feeling a
answers
little
and implement them.
convicted right now because pickleball is huge here, and we've got a bunch of guys who love pickleball, and I talk to them about it. I ask about it. But I've always been like, I'm not going to go play pickleball, but I think I need to.
Who do you have in your church that
I
would
need to
go
go
play
play.
pickleball with a bunch of dudes, right?
Yeah.
And that's the important part. Ask him, like, hey, man, I think it would be great if you would get these guys together for pickleball in like a month on a Saturday. What do you
Yeah.
say? Yeah, man, I'd love that. Great, good. I'm not going to be there, or I'll take pictures. But either way, yeah, man, you got it. I can't wait. I want to hear about your pickleball event in the next couple months.
I know. I feel like I need to go at least connect and play with them, even though I don't really want to, but
Yeah, but
it's
lean
probably,
into
it's probably a good idea.
Lean into, because if you don't want to, are you bad at it? Like, have you ever tried it?
I've not tried it. Like, I've played ping pong and stuff like that. I have tried tennis, and I'm not bad at it. It's just, I don't know. I just don't have a desire for it.
Yeah, I'm atrocious at ping pong. Atrocious. It's awful.
So I used to be good, and I think I would be halfway decent at pickleball, but it's like one more thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if you
So,
stop
but
going to the
I
gym at
think
like
to connect
3:30
with
in the
them, I
morning.
probably need to do that.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Go for it.
So we'll talk about successful men's ministry here. What do you think are some essential components of a quote-unquote successful men's ministry?
How have the marriages of the men in the men's ministry improved since being a part of it? How have the relationships with the children between the men and their children in your ministry improved since they've been a part of it? How many men have stepped up into teaching or stepped up into serving or stepped up into discipling and taking another man under his wing as a result of being a part of your men's ministry? Now, these aren't the standard metrics most guys use. Most guys are like, okay,
Right.
how many did we have there? How many came? How many showed up this time? What are our numbers for attendance and stuff? Guys, if you want a big crowd of dudes, I mean, just depend on where you are. Give away an AR-15 if you're in the deep
Yeah.
woods of Tennessee or something like that. You're going to get a big turnout. Get a car, you're going to get a big turnout. You got to be present to win. Yeah, that's how we increase our numbers, guys. I mean, it's bus ministry mentality. Swallow the goldfish and the kids will watch, okay?
Yeah.
You can get big numbers. And I'm not telling you not to do those things to be able to get contact info to follow up with the
Time
gospel.
for it. There's a time
Yes.
for it. Yeah.
But you want success in men's ministry? How are the lives of the men being involved, being transformed by being involved in your men's ministry? And that'll change your programming. That changes everything when you change what the vision and purpose of men's ministry is. I used to get asked, hey, we need to do more for ladies' ministry. And what is ladies' ministry? Tell me what that is. Well, we need to study the Bible more. Like, well, our church is this size. We've got this many leaders, and we offer a ladies' Bible study once a week. What more are you thinking? Like, well, like we need to like go somewhere as a group of ladies. Like, okay, so you're asking for a ladies' trip, a ladies' retreat
Yeah.
somewhere, and like again, time and place. But why? Why do you want to do it? Well, we want to go hang out with the ladies from the church. I do not want to spend God's resources for people to just hang out.
When you can just organize and do that on your own. Like you don't need us as a church to do that.
Exactly. Now, I'm not going to, I did this. I made this mistake. I diminished the value of relationship building moments in this argument. Okay.
Sure.
I will say that, again, time and place. But the stewardship of resources has to be considered. So if you can do that well, and in your calendar, when I say resources, not just finances, what's your calendar look like? Make sure you do it at an appropriate time. There's a whole number of things. And the important thing is, what's the purpose of it? So again, if you're listening to this and you're not a pastor and you want your pastor to do something, going to him and saying, hey, I'd like to just hang out more. No. Hey, I'd like to bring a speaker in. I'd like to have someone teach on, and let's put a focus on this so that we can impact the lives of the ladies that are involved or the men that are involved. Because if we don't have a good what's the point?
Yeah. And you've talked a little bit about building relationships and having those moments. What role do you think building relationships plays in men's ministry? And what can we as leaders do to foster that sense of brotherhood among participants?
Yeah, this is cultural dependent, right? I know one guy, Brad White in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Dr. Brad White, he just got his doctorate last year, is got a killer men's ministry there and is just doing phenomenal. And we talked about the culture of his ministry. They're huggers, man. Those dudes roll in and they just embrace one another. And I'm not opposed to that. I can be a hugger too. I think that's great. Some places aren't. That's fine. Handshake is good enough. That's cool. Maybe a handshake, double pat on the back. 3 pats, it's awkward. It's just 2. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, but being intentional about, again, it's developing a relationship. So, and again, how did you develop a relationship with your spouse? You had conversations. There was physical touch. It's noting love languages and being able to communicate to them. Guys, it's not wrong to give a guy a gift. I mean, it's weird if it's roses, but hey, I give you a nice pen or a gift card to take your wife out. That's a different thing. But investing into them as human beings. For the Pastors Connection Network, reach out to Luke Sorensen. He's my podcast co-host. He works with me After God. This guy can help you understand how to integrate who a person is made to be, how they receive love, and what they love to do, and how you can help them grow in those areas to be one of the best people you've ever served with. And I love what he does with that. It's great stuff. But being intentional about finding out how they receive love. Thomas, it's not wrong for dudes to tell each other, hey, man, I love you. I care for you.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid we got away from that for a period of time. Sometimes we need it communicated because, man, I've seen guys going through some difficult times where I've stopped them and they're I don't know what you call it, not testimony, but they're sharing with me what they're doing. I say, hey, man, I think you just need to hear this right now. I want you to know I love you and I care for you and I'm here for you as you go through this. And you'll see them break down. Tears. Because some guys have grown up in homes and families, they've never heard that said to them.
Yeah.
Or at least any time they can remember.
I remember one time hearing my dad say that to me. What was your experience like growing up?
So, fun times. My dad was a drug addict and alcoholic. Between 1st and 2nd grade, my parents got divorced. I had a stepdad enter my life between 5th and 6th grade. And I'm sure they told me they loved me. I believe they did. My mom would for sure. My dad would, like when we left and things like that. I don't remember a lot of heart-to-heart conversations. I wrote about it in my book. There is an instance where he was on alcohol and painkillers and potentially morphine one night and tried to kill my stepmom with a gun. And I had to get involved with that. So I have that memory. But as far as the shows of love and appreciation, a lot came from my grandparents. And so that was what it was like for me. Now, words of affirmation are a big deal to me. So my kids, my wife, I always tell them I love them. And I make sure I've spent time with each of my children in separate times, in different ways, because again, their ages. But making sure they know hey, listen, I want you to know I love you. I love you for who you are. I love you for what you're doing. One day I believe you're going to accomplish great things, but I want you to know I love you, not because of what you've done or what you're doing, but because you're my son, you're my daughter, and dad loves you. So being very clear and intentional with that. And do it with the guys too. because we are so often loved for what we do and what we provide.
Yeah.
Rarely do we get shown appreciation or love for just who we are. And look, guys, don't go walking around saying, "Oh, woe is me. Nobody loves me. I'm a bad person." Shut up. Start manning up and realize that God has called you to work. God has called you to provide. And there are guys that love you. And if you want to know who they are, start showing it to others.
Yeah.
Because when we start loving on other people, we start receiving love from other people.
Well, I think sometimes we use our pasts as an excuse for why we are the way that we are. And I could easily do that and say, well, I was not really told that myself, and that's why I don't. But I kind of have looked at that and learned from it and said, I don't believe that's the way a husband, a father should be, and so I'm going to do differently.
Yeah.
And so I am somebody who, if I know you for any amount of time, if I leave your presence or I hang up the phone with you, I'm going to tell you that I love you. I think it's words that all of us do need to say and all of us need to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So creating that culture, whatever that looks like for your culture, telling the guys, all right, guys, hey, we're finished with the evening. Everybody circle up, grab hands. We're going to pray. And can this guy, and this guy, be careful when you ask people to pray, make sure that, they're comfortable, but creating those moments, creating those times of connection and looking at the 5 love languages as a way to do it. Some you got to spend time with, some you just need to talk to, some you got to give gifts to. What are the others? So serving with guys, that's always part of it. And then I'm sure I'm missing one. But nonetheless, just investing into those relationships in simple ways.
So we talked a little bit about indicators just as far as like how are their home lives changing, how are their interactions changing. Are there any other metrics or indicators that churches should be using to assess the effectiveness of their men's ministry other than that?
If you want to go with some KPIs, you can always look at how many guys are going through whatever you deem a discipleship program. And when I say program, let's use that term loosely. I don't mean it's got to be like 12 weeks of academic transformation, but maybe you've got a discipleship program where you have an older man in the church, or you have a man that gets connected with a younger man or a new believer, and they're supposed to hang out twice a month for the next 6 months, and that's their discipleship. They'll talk about Jesus. I mean, I guarantee if you get a man who loves the Lord and he knows he's with a new believer, he's talking about Jesus in the Bible and answering questions. You can have some KPIs as we want so many guys to go through this, and how you do that is if you want 10 to go through, you got to talk to 20 or 30 about it, and just kind of going after it that way. Attendance is the one that I say, like, it's not bad to know like how you did in your marketing and stuff to get people there. But I think if we just focus on the major ones, the minor ones will work themselves out.
Well, and one of the things you touched on earlier that I think is a great indicator are things like when men come to church, do they sing and worship? Like, to me, that shows a man who's not concerned with what people are thinking about him. He's more concerned with his own personal relationship with Jesus. Yeah. Are men serving, and are they involved, and are they leading in your church and in your ministry? Are some of those other metrics that we kind of look to here.
And on that note, Thomas, teaching your men why they sing.
Yeah.
I think we say like, oh, every man should sing and worship. Okay, great, but why? We especially if you grew up around it, if you've been around Christianity for any period of time, we understand why we sing and worship. I don't do it because I have to. I do it because I want to worship my King. And there's sometimes in my worship that I'm being ministered to by the worship team leader, by maybe a little segment of scripture or something that's read in that time. I found myself on countless occasions, especially in the last 6 months, of my time of worship was my crying time. That's what I got to do when I went to church for worship. I got to cry. Close my eyes and just cry. I couldn't sing. I just looked up, and tears are rolling. I looked down. I had nothing. That was my worship. And what that was me truly just throwing myself at the feet of Jesus and my own heart. And guys, this is something when it comes to worship, I'm afraid you hear this and you think that, well, our men need to be hand raisers, or our men need to be clappers, or they need to be whatever you want to call it. But I know, I'm going to bring up Josh Tice again. I've been to his church during worship services and stuff. That man is energetic. He's energetic, period. But he loves worshiping Jesus in a very eccentric way. And it's great. I think it's wonderful. I'm more reserved. I'm not
Me
a
too.
person that does that. Now, I'll raise my hands and things of that nature, but for the most part, my worship is internal and it's in my heart, and I'm contemplating the things that I'm saying and I'm singing to the Lord and how he's proven himself in that way, or how I need to look for him more in that way. And so my worship is really an internal thing. So guys, this goes back to when we talk about singing. Yes, I do think you need to lift your voice in song no matter how good or bad you sound, but don't think you have to look like everyone else does when they're singing and worship. But can I tell you, a man who hears worship to Jesus and stands there with a stone face doesn't have a voice problem. He has a heart problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And part of that, we already talked about being authentic. We need to be authentic ourselves, and our church ministry, our men's ministry needs to be authentic to who we are. But we also need to teach our men to worship in such a way that is authentic to them as well. I'm not trying to create a bunch of duplicate Thomases and they have to worship in this particular way. But if you're truly following Jesus and walking with him, you are going to be involved in the worship time, I believe. Mm-hmm. So let's, we're kind of winding down the conversation here. Let's think 10, 20, 30 years into the future about what men's ministry in the church is going to look like. And what do you think the church maybe needs to do to evolve to meet the needs of today's men and the men of tomorrow?
I think we've covered quite a bit of that as the second part of your question there. There's one thing I will say when it comes to the next generation. I guess I'm at the place in my life now, Thomas, at 37, that there's a younger generation behind me. So looking at them and getting them involved, one of the things I've despised is being at a church or around a church when there's a men's event and the young men aren't invited. Now, listen, time and place for men to get with men and have real, raw conversations that might not be appropriate for an 8, 10, 13, even 16-year-old. I get that. With your kids around, there's a level of vulnerability and rawness you can bring to the table where you wouldn't be comfortable. Okay. Yeah. But if you're not including the young men, and I mean 8, 9, 10, 15-year-olds in men's ministry, I think we are just contributing to the epidemic of teenagers leaving the faith following their graduation from high school. Oftentimes we find that they'll come back because it's not Jesus that they left, it's the church that they left. And they left the church because they had no relationships with the adults. And their friends either went away to college or different places like that. But I'm curious, and I've not been in it long enough to say, hey, this is what makes it effective. But this makes sense to me. Yeah. If we have more men, more adults, period, in the ministry, in the church, connecting with young people, it's hard for me to say that we're going to continue seeing this drop off, because the trend that we've noticed over the last 20, 30 years in churches is the separation of children from the adults. Families don't worship together. Children have their own church time. And I get it. There's size issues. There's a number of different things, but, and I mean, maybe distractions is an argument to be made. What we did, and I thought was very effective, was we had our families worship together, and then we would break out for junior church. We'd let 5th grade and below would go and get a lesson at their level. But 6th grade and up, listen, first off, as pastors, it's our responsibility to be communicating the word of God in a way that it's received. And so 6th grade and up can sit and listen, and we should also seek to engage them, not just not expect them to sit there like statues when we're preaching. Secondly, again, they're old enough. They can hear some of the things you're talking about. It may make you speak in more code when it comes to some sensitive issues, but the adults in the room will understand, and the kids that are old enough will understand as well. And what that does is help set the standard for what church is. Because if you have a youth group that looks so different from the main service, no wonder they're leaving church, because what they know of church doesn't exist for them now. And they don't want to be a part of this other thing because, get this is my thoughts, all right? Many people leave a church when they change the music, when they change attire, when they change decorations. Now, we can get as upset as we want. Like, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? Because it happens. Because
it's true.
Uncomfortable. So what are we doing when we've got a youth group that's engaging them with, and look, if your church is this way, I'm not judging you for it. I'm just saying, what are we doing if we have a youth group that has laser lights and smoke and mirrors and TVs and all this stuff, but then they go into the auditorium and it looks like it's from 1995 or 1985?
Yeah.
And the songs are from the Redback Church hymnal, not Brandon Lake or what they've been singing.
That's a good point.
You're telling them, hey, we still want you around, but you have it truly, think about it. If we say the church is the body of believers and the culture that's established inside of that body, we're telling them, hey, you're 18 now. You need to change churches. You need to change cultures. That's a big deal. That's a big deal for anyone.
Oh, yeah.
And in their formative years still, we're telling them, hey, you need to make this major adjustment. So I think it's important for us to engage the young men as soon as possible and as soon as practical and as often as we can, and allow the other men of the church to speak into their lives. I want men in a church that I can point my boys to and say, hey, you remember Joe over there? Joe's a good man. And I want Joe to be a good man that walks by my kids and ruffles their hair, gives them a high five, punches them in the arm, and calls them out when they're doing something stupid if he sees them running through the chairs at youth group last night. Middle schoolers running across the chairs in the auditorium. Call them out for that. This is a culture. This is a community. And I want men in the church that feel privileged to speak into the lives of my sons. And I want the opportunity to invest into their kids as well. That's not going to happen if we don't try to cultivate those relationships. So I think that's a way to invest into this generation and the next generation, is get them involved. Do some fun, stupid things. Potato sack races are still cool to 9-year-olds. And watching old dudes fall never stops being funny, all right? So get 30 and 40-year-olds out there. I'm not telling you to if a gentleman's in his 80s and he wants to do it, God bless him, thank him for it. And that's,
just make sure your insurance is up to date.
Yes. But let me go to the flip side there, as we talked about that generation. Let's look at the generation that's ahead of us, Thomas. You and I are relatively close in age. We've got a generation of men ahead of us that have so much wisdom, that have so much to offer. And I want them around. I'm 37 years old, and I've been in churches where men are in their 60s and 70s. I don't have to speak every time there's an opportunity to. I want them to speak. And it might not be as polished or as great. And dependent upon how long they've been following Jesus, as you let other people do things, you may find that their language can get a little rough. I made a mistake one time. I forgot to say, hey, watch it.
No cussing, huh?
And but he was giving his testimony. And I mean, it's like, look at Jelly Roll and Brandon Lake right now coming together for Hard Fought Hallelujah. Love that,
which I love, by the way.
Absolutely. But Jelly Roll, one of the reasons he didn't associate with Christianity, or really, is because people were judging him. They weren't patient with him. They weren't letting him go through his own journey. They knew the right answer, but guess what? Jelly wasn't in a place to listen to him. So sometimes we got to learn to shut up. All right. Anyways, get those older men involved. And get the younger men connected to them. Have them adopt them as grandkids or grandparents. Have them write letters to one another. Get them, swap emails. Get men around older men and younger men and men of the same age, and just let dudes do dude things. And I think that's what I want the motto of men's ministry to be. Let dudes do dude things. And
put that on a t-shirt.
That's it. We're going to do it. Men after God. Dudes doing dude things. And that is where you're going to, if you will, attract. That's where you're going to provide opportunities for connection, and where you'll earn the right. Now, we don't like to hear this, but we earn our influence. You'll earn the right to share the gospel and biblical truth and principles with them as you show them you care about them, not just for their attendance, but for who they are, who their children are as followers of Jesus.
Man, I appreciate you sharing kind of your heart and passion with us. Good to have Dr. Dustin Alley here with us, because you recently got your doctorate.
I did.
But where can people connect with you to find out more about what you have going on, more about Men After God?
Yeah, so we are on website, www.menaftergod.net. You can find information about our coaching program. We actually sell the PDF version of, well, we call it our battle plan, and it's got the majority of our information. I think we got it priced at like $7.50 right now, $7.50 PDF. You can have that if you want to try to work it on your own. Go for it. In my experience, having a coach, disciple, or someone with you walking you through it is where the value is. So we have our Men After God membership program that's available. This is at $150 a month, and then if you pay up front for the year, annual subscription, it's $1,000 a year, and we throw in a free digital disc seminar for you and up to 8 members of your team. And then we can also do a couple other things with the personality stuff. We haven't got the full certifications yet, so I don't talk about them, but we're working on them. And that gets you access to the 12-week coaching program. It gets you access to 2 coaching calls during the month. And I told you, this is a grassroots, bootstrapped effort where me and some other guys that are working other jobs are making this happen for these interactions. One month, we weren't able to actually make our calls. So what did we do? We said, you get a free one-on-one coaching call with myself, and I'll walk you through whatever you're going through right now.
Nice.
And so we had guys take advantage of that, because if you've never had one-on-one coaching, tremendous value and usually high dollar value. And group coaching is less. So we made sure we brought more than what was expected. And then we're developing content. So we've got in development right now a coaching series over the 16 laws of communication, 16 undeniable laws of communication from Maxwell. And we're including some extra videos, about 4 or 5, that are how to develop a sermon and how to deliver a sermon. And we provide different ways of outlining. We believe in proper exegesis. We use a tool called the hermeneutical circle. We walk guys through that. We walk through how to outline and then how to deliver in such a way that it's communicated for your personality style. Because, Thomas, one of the things that guys have a problem with is developing men for ministry, and public speaking is a hard one. So we provide this tool that you have access to through the membership program, and you have evergreen access. We're also, so that one, the Bible study videos over my book are in development. And then next, we're going to be developing ones for coaching conversations, how to facilitate a group, and things of that nature. And the sky's the limit. We keep going. And then if you're interested in us coming out and really consulting with you, we offer, it's a 3 or 6 month consulting program where you'll get access to our coaching videos, but we'll also be on video calls with you. We come out to your site, we'll put on a men's event, and we'll invest into your men that way. And we have a leadership day, and we have a men's investment day. So we'll invest into your leaders for a day, and then we invest into your men if you'll let us. And those are all available at menaftergod.net. And then, of course, on Facebook at Men After God, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all at Men After God. And then if you're looking to connect with me personally, facebook.com/Dustin.Alley87. You can find me there. I'm 37. I'm not on Instagram much. I'm really on Facebook more. Yeah. And you can reach out to me anytime, and I'd love to connect with you.
That's funny, because I always tell people I'm 44, so I'm on Facebook.
Yep, that's it.
But yeah, ministry leaders who are listening or watching with us on YouTube, hey, Dustin will be a great help to you. Men After God will be a great help to you. I encourage you to reach out. If you have any questions, thoughts, just reach out to him. You can reach us here at Pastors Connection Network by going to www.pastorsconnectionnetwork.com or finding us on Facebook at Pastors Connection Network. Thanks again, Dustin, for being with us today. We sure appreciate your insights on all things men's ministry.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Thomas. Really appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you for joining us on the Pastors Connection podcast. May you be inspired and equipped to lead with grace and purpose. Until we meet again.